Great evening. Welcome to Why Should I Be Ashamed? I'm Sheila Calvert. Once again, I'm your host for tonight. I'm the author of the book, Why Should I Be Ashamed? I have a great conversation for you tonight, so will you please like and share? We want this conversation to just get around the world. It is a constant conversation that I am hearing. So, welcome.
The way they hurt me, it's a shame. The way they hurt me, but I had to get through and tell my story and get my victory and give God the glory. Give God the glory. Yeah, that's what I do. Give God the glory. He already knew my story. Look at me. Can't you see? Victory. Victory. No more shame in this game. No more shame. No more shame in this game. No more shame. No more shame. I'm not alone. 'Cause you're at home. You got a story of your own.
Okay,
Do-do.
let's get into it
Why
tonight.
should I do? Why should I be ashamed? Why should
Hey, great evening. Welcome back. I am just ecstatic to be here in your living rooms tonight. I want to thank you for your book purchases. Thank you for just coming here with us every week and for sharing. And I am so proud of you all, those of you who are beginning to address this issue. I'm so proud of you all that you have taken off the shame and the embarrassment and that you're beginning to deal with those deep, deep issues and the pain of sexual abuse. Maybe it didn't happen to you directly, but maybe some of your children, friends, neighbors. It affects us all. But tonight, I want to talk about forgiveness versus truth. What does that mean? Sometimes when I'm telling and sharing my book and sharing my story, it may come off as I'm still angry or I'm still processing unforgiveness or I'm still dealing with it. However, it looks, I want you to know that I have forgiven the past and I have been forgiven of my past. But when I'm telling my true story, when I'm letting you all in on some of the issues of my life and some of the issues of other people that I hear around the world, I just want you to know that you can forgive tonight. So, I was doing a client today, and she began to share with me a situation of sexual abuse. No one really knows about the young lady that was abused. They just kind of keeping it in, and that to me is dangerous. That is a danger zone. That is so dangerous to just continue to hide and keep it. Of course, she has her own reason. And so I want you all to know that when I'm sharing these details, when I'm processing other people, I had to forgive. Now, let me tell you, forgiveness of sexual abuse, rape, trauma, the things that I talk about on this platform, I never said it was easy. I never said that it was going to be easy, but I want to let you know that you can do it. I want to let you know that you can get over it. And there's so many people. I know women in their 60s, 70s, men that are over the age that you think there should have been some turnaround. There should have been some letting go of the past. Well, how can you let go of something that you won't never address, you won't deal with, you won't be honest about? And I'm telling you, the truth is so important. The truth is so important. And don't get it twisted. Just because I'm coming out here telling and talking about the people of my past, there is no hate. Okay? Let that be a tonight. There's no hatred. I don't have any hatred for the families. Now, how they feel about me, that's their issues, but it's important how I feel. And because I have the love of God that goes through my veins, I don't have to have hate. And I realize tonight that vengeance are mine, said the Lord. I will repay. I try not to get too churchy, but the only way that I could forgive was to get into the spirit, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. But what is forgiveness? Forgiveness is an action. It's something that you're going to have to do. It when you have these traumas, if we could only forgive, because if hate and bitterness ever take root, it can be the destruction of your mind, body, soul, spirit, and everyone around you. Have you ever seen a bunch of bitter people just messy? One sign that I notice of people with unresolved issues, they are messy. They tell lies. They bring division. They're destructive. You gotta get to, and I want to expel to you tonight, please work on forgiveness. Forgiveness is the action or the process or forgiving someone or being forgiven. It is difficult to forgive, especially when we live in our past. So tonight we're going to get unstuck. How about that? We're going to just get unstuck. We're going to move forward. We're going to dig deep. And I want you to do some researching as and some prayer. And even as we talk about these things, do you notice that sometimes people purge up that you didn't even know that you were angry with? And you just have to say, I forgive you. You may not be able to go see them. You may not, I'm not going to graves. I'm not doing a bunch of rituals, going to graveyards and things like that. But I have forgiven. So, my forgiveness is not predicated on me surrounding my life around those that have attacked me or abused me or abandoned me. So a lot of times people say, well, I've heard it once in my lifetime. They say, how you know you forgive if you allow the person to do the experience to you again. I don't believe that is true. I think you always need to get away, get to safety, and I really think you need to deal with it because acting blind, being silent, keeping secrets, lying to yourself, living in denial, never telling the truth about your life, that old saying that is so ugly to me, I'll take it to my grave. You're not gonna share your truth. That's the problem. So you are bound up. Anybody can tell you anything because you don't have the truth in you. And a lot of times when we have hidden things, our minds just get boggled up. People can say anything to you and you believe it because the truth ain't in you. You got to get to the bottom of your truth. So why did I forgive? Because I learned that forgiveness is for what? It's for me. That's what everyone says and everyone shares. Forgiveness is not for the perpetrator. Forgiveness is not for that bad father, bad mother, bad sister, bad brother, bad neighbor. Forgiveness is for you. There's a freedom when you come to the knowledge of the wickedness of man and the mercy and the grace of God to let that thing go. It's a good feeling. It's a great relief and release. So my forgiveness is freeing myself from the hurt of my past, the hurt of the pain, and I can look at people and I can look at them and don't have hatred. Now, people that want to control you, they're manipulative, and I know some people oftentimes, honestly, it's within your families. They'll be manipulative. Well, if she's talking all that, then What's wrong with her coming around? What's wrong with me coming around is you're not delivered. You're still telling lies. You're still not set free. You're still doing the ugly things that you did a long time ago. You're still not trying to get your recovery, because it really would be a good experience if we could come to the table and talk about our repentance, and that's, how it'll help repair families. But most of the times we're covering up and we're putting the blame on those that have been victimized or have been hurt or have been ostracized or rejected. And you have to not be offended by what other people will not heal from. If they won't get their self together, they won't get deliverance from. You got to learn to walk alone. We know a lot of people still be around their families and it's just chaos. It's just mess after mess. I want to say thank the Lord, thank God once again. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, my brother from another mother, was here this weekend, and my husband and his beautiful, beautiful wife. We went out and had a great time. Well, I'm drawn to them because they're kind, they're loving, and we just laughed. We laughed until we all needed an inhaler. So, life is short. And so you have to be around people that is accepting you with your pain, with who you are, and loving on you and helping you to recover and helping you to go forward. And so that's my thing. And so don't penalize people when you know you haven't done your work. Don't penalize people when you know that you have not repented. You have not even told me you're sorry. You have not even went and straightened things out, and maybe you never will. And so your never will sets me into a place of I cannot enter back into your space, your energy, your lies, your deceptiveness. I believe it's important that we remove ourselves and have peace with ourselves and move on. So farewell, good old friends. Sometimes you have friends for a season and some for a lifetime. And sometimes you just have to move on. And it does not, you should be able to see when a person operates in love. And you cannot get that information from he said, she said, they said, you don't. No, you have to have that one on one with that person. So make sure that you go and speak to that person. Don't allow, the worst thing, it really bothers me when people um, they allow a person that's full of anger and rage and nastiness and bad spirits to come and mess a whole family up. But it's something that if you rather listen to the hate of their heart than talk to me and speak to me, then that says a lot about you. It says that you can't face truth. You're in denial. So you rather sit and listen to lies. So I leave that up to you. So we're talking about forgiveness versus me telling my story, my spirit, not telling my truth to keep me. I don't want to stay in a cycle of hurt. I don't want to stay in a cycle of pain. That's why I forgive. And unforgiveness is so hardening. And some of us know what that feels like because all of us have had some kind of test, some kind of experience that will cause us not to forgive. And there's other subjects besides sexual abuse. I just happen to talk about this subject tonight. So why should I be ashamed is a segment. This segment is to help those that are stuck hurting and bring breakthroughs. It's a safe platform for the voice of many, for the voice of those that are silent, for the voice of the man that just too embarrassed. I was listening to a man tell his story tonight, how he was 3 years old and his own uncle raped his sister. What can a 3-year-old do? He had no defense. But he grew up and he became reckless. He went to prison. Our prisons are full of those of us that overlooked our children that had been through sexual abuse, prisons are full. So I want to talk about how do we move past this? What are some of the things that I did? And I want to share with you some of the points that I had to do. I had to, like I began to write this book, and it was very painful. And don't ever think that it feels good not being, having the story of the princess that I thought I was. I thought I was such a beautiful little girl, and then when you're a little girl, you plan your story in your own mind, and I did because it was pretty healthy, um, for the most part, and until I became 16, or even before that, some things had happened. But the 16 thing was very, very tragic. All of it was tragic, but I had to tell my story. This is my truth. And if it sounds like unforgiveness to you, I just want you to know it is not unforgiveness. I want to bring breakthrough and healing to other people. Otherwise, I have moved on with my life. I have had children. I have, um, been married over 30 years, and I've learned to just walk it out. I'm not battling and fighting with anybody. And when I see a fight in people, you know, my thing is, oh, they've been abused. They're dealing with something they don't. Because when you're flowing and you're walking in the spirit, you shouldn't always be fighting other people. And so you have to have a. There's been a constant grace in my life. There's been a constant, because even for me to have the mind that I have, to be able to speak the way that I speak, to be able to read, write, have any kind of understanding, clarity of mind, to not have a constant spirit of anger, there has to be some release here. There's no way you could have been through the things that I've been through and not be, a person that was fighting and bitter and in prison. Sometimes I think, yes, of course I meditated on revenge. Of course I'm meditating on pouring, doing something back, revenge. But I know that I cannot exchange places with a rapist. I'm not a rapist. I can exchange places with a murderer. I can exchange places with a person that wants to backbite and lie. But I have not been perfect, and I have had to receive forgiveness. So that's why I forgive. And I can look at some of you, and I thank, God for my cousin Eunice, who have so much compassion for perpetrators, and so much compassion. But my thing is just to move on, and that's how I've lived through it. Some people, they like to recycle those people, bring them back in their life. Some people had no other choice. They feel like they had nobody else to love than the father that raped them, or the mother that raped them, or the auntie that raped them, or the cousin, or the neighbor. They feel like they had no choice, so that they just continue to stay in those relationships for whatever they were getting out of it. But I decided, once I got to a place in my life that it was unhealthy, it was disrespectful. When you see the repeated cycle, trying to do things to my sister now that she's a grown woman, and you still want to do, disrespectful things to her, that would hurt me too. So I just removed myself, and some of you. So let's get to it. So forgiveness versus truth. Forgiveness versus me telling my story. This is my story. This is not your story. This is my truth. And about my book, let me say this. I had written this book, and the publishers came to me. They say, Sheila, there's nothing happy about your book. It's really sad. And are these people still alive? Well, most of them had passed on. So then they told me to write something good. And I could just remember, of course I had some fun childhood and good childhood memories. I just went right into, one of my favorite people in my lifetime, in my childhood, and I told about that, and that's how that come about. It wasn't to reject others. It wasn't to not to talk about other people or name. At that time, that was the mindset. Now, this is not an encyclopedia, so it's just a It's just a small, easy read, and I did tell about some good parts of my childhood, and that's how I did my story. Now you do your story how you want to do your story. We all have a book within us. So, forgiveness versus truth. Let's get to it. How do you forgive someone who has hurt you? How did you do it? Is there anybody out there tonight? How did you forgive? I would like to know some of your secrets. Um, One thing you have to do when you talk about forgiveness, you don't want to let unforgiveness occupy any space in your mind. In your you have to begin to process your thoughts, because if resentment, anger, hatred, it is debilitating. It would destroy you. You won't have no strength. And you know a lot of times, honey. Um, Monique was talking about those bonnets. Those people, oftentimes, and I'm not going to get into the bonnets, but you could not. They don't feel like it. And you know, it's a whole world out there. People don't feel like it. They don't feel like combing their hair. They don't feel like putting on any shoes. They just don't feel like, cause and some people just really think life, wearing your badge of unforgiveness is some kind of badge of honor, and it's not, and it makes the other person feel like, feel bad about themselves. Most of the time, those rapists, they go on and rape somebody else. They on to the next thing, and you can get them in the court of law, and they know it's a crime, and they will say, "I didn't do it. I didn't do it." So you have to. Forgiveness is for you. So number one, what do we have? What did I have to do? What do you have to do? You have to move on. You have to move past it. Yeah, a lot of times you sit there in shock, or you sit there in unbelief, and your mind try to stay there. And you know, I always tell you, I thought the best thing was prayer and therapy, because your past history and hurts have to be removed from your life. You can't let it um stay, and you don't press on. You have to press on, and you have to press in. You have to see yourself out of that pain. You have to see yourself in your future. You have to visualize your healing. You have to speak life over yourself. You have to recuperate, renewed in your mind. This is not a Bible study, but you do have to be renewed by the word of life. The word of God is a renewing. Renew your thought process, and go back over some of these tapes that I did. Put the blame where blame, but embrace having a new life. Embrace having a feeling well about yourself. What does that look like to go from being angry and mad at someone that has done some? I began to look at that person for who they were, and they had a bunch of issues, and that's not giving an excuse to what has happened, because there is no excuse, because we all can go get help for especially as an adult, we can go get help for our issues. We got to go cry out for our issues. So it's no excuse, but I had to embrace a new life and a new way of thinking in order to move on. I don't want to get stuck here. Also, um, what else did I do? I began to reconnect to God. I know my mother lost. She had a lot of loss. Her father died when she was 9. Her mother died when she was a baby, because my grandmother had a 2-year-old son named Melvin. He died, and I learned all this through DNA and through information on there. Um, then she had a bad marriage, and then her baby died. Her mother's baby died, and then my mother had a baby died when she was young, and she had a lot of resentment. A lot of things happened to her during her childhood. A lot of rejection, and so oftentimes I remember her telling me it was hard for her to connect with God. It was hard for her because she just seen all this pain. And oftentimes we ask the question, why me? Why did this happen? But I want to say, don't give up with your relationship, and not just having a relationship with God, but fellowship with God, fellowship with healthy people, fellowship with positivity, and don't give up. And I don't care. I know that sometimes the trauma makes people so mentally disturbed, and I hear of men that have just really broke down. But as mothers and parents and guardians, believe God, pray about it, never give up. Anoint them with oil. Never give up. Never quit believing that you can recover, that you can forgive, and that fellowship and fellowship, what does that look like? Get in prayer. Get in some worship. I was talking to a young lady today, and she said she loves to sit for hours and just let worship be your water, let worship be your breath of air, and worship a peaceful kind, peaceful worship. Yes, put on some of those songs that soothe your soul and soothe your heart and ease your pain, and get out of all that chaos. I don't know why people, well, I do know why, but you cannot keep recycling pain and keep going around pain, keep fighting and cussing and all that ruckus. You have to reconnect to God. Even when it's hard, it seems difficult. We those of us that walk in faith. That's why I try not to get churchy, because just pray. No, no, no. You have to really have that time in it, and it does seem difficult. It is difficult, but you have to turn your hurts over to the Lord and let His word flow through you. Haven't you been hurt last week, week before? Um, Maybe not as tragic, but you sit in the presence of the Lord and you turn your hurt. In my salon, I've been just playing soothing music, and the spirit of peace has just taken over, because all of a sudden I was feeling just like something else was creeping in there. But I put in that worship, and the spirit of peace is just power. It's just power in the presence of God. There is peace in His presence. So turn your heart hurts over to Him and make a new commitment. Start with Him and ask Him to walk you through forgiveness, and ask Him to show you. And then sit with people, study on forgiveness. Look it up in the dictionary, look it up in the Bible, look it up until you have an understanding. Write it down and get an understanding of um of reconnecting with God. Another thing, now, we are taught that we're not supposed to go to bed angry in our relationships, but you can't go to bed angry with yourself and with other people. You can't. Isn't that the worst thing? I don't like trauma, or neither do I like drama. Drama just keeps you upset. I'm like, I don't want to think about these people the last thing I go to bed at night, the first thing in the morning. I don't like drama, and I don't like trauma. So you can't go to bed upset. You gotta find a way to relax. Don't try to go to sleep with anger and frustration and hatred and bitterness. That's a tossing and turning and warfare. We don't want to do that. We want to sleep, have great sleep, sleep in peace. Isn't that what we want to do? We want to be immersed, even in our self-conscious mind, immersed in peace, immersed in love, immersed in joy, knowing that we can have sweet dreams. And you have to say that to yourself. I'm going to have sweet dreams tonight. I'm going to have the spirit of peace tonight. I'm going to have even in when I wake up, I'm going to attract kindness. I've been meeting kind people, and kind people have been coming to me, appreciating me, the value. And when I'm saying me, I'm saying the spirit. And you should know us by our fruit. What are you producing anger all the time? Is every time you show up, there's confusion? Every time you show up, there's a complaint? You have unresolved issues, and it's probably, mixed with some unforgiveness. Okay, Another thing we want to do, move on, reconnect to God. Don't go to sleep upset. Honey, because you might go to sleep upset and get up and sleepwalk and been to killed somebody. You might sleepwalk, been and walked outside. Clear your mind, baby. Clear your mind. Okay. What is the next one, Mr. Calvert?
Switch the focus to others from others to yourself.
Switch the focus from others. So don't just talk about what has happened, but switch and try to understand, how do I forgive? How do I get? A lot of times we want to focus on, um, I'm not going to forgive, or they need to ask me for forgiveness. They need to beg my pardon. They need to tell me I'm sorry. You can spend your life waiting for someone to do right. This is an individual alignment with peace and power for yourself. Take your power back. Understand, take the focus off of them and focus on how to clear yourself. Focus on how you're going to respond and be responsible for stress in your life. People say, you made me mad, and no, you don't. You can't make me mad. You can make me look at you and see what you're dealing with. But we can't always focus on what other people are doing and give them the power. Like, no, I'm never going to forgive until they say I'm sorry. You're wasting time. You're wasting your time. You have to give yourself the consent to say, hey, I'm moving on, and it's about me, and I'm valuable. I'm worth it, and I have forgiven. Yeah, so that's where we're gonna remove the focus and try to understand how you really feel about the whole situation, and walk yourself right on through that door of forgiveness, so your heart will not become hard. So your conversation, some people, they just so hard. They don't have no gym. Their face is always toe up and squinched up. I be looking at them like, ooh, honey, I don't know what happened. I be thinking, what happened to you? You unrecovered, because that bitterness, it comes up in your expressions. It comes up in your response. It comes up how you treat people. It comes up on your reaction, how you react. You got a reaction to everything. If an ant crawling, you got to jump, and you just carries on. And when are you just going to settle yourself down, have forgiveness, and move on? Avoid people who want to tell you how to feel. In this sexual abuse situation, problems, there's always people that want to tell you how you should feel. You shouldn't be talking about this. That's what they want to tell me. You shouldn't be keep repeating the same thing. Those are those hiders. They're hiding under prayer. They're on prayer lines early in the morning and trying to take over. They always have a takeover spirit. That's another thing. That's a red flag when they don't have they haven't dealt with their own situation. Everywhere they go, they want to take over. They ostentation. They want to take over the room, and they so prayed up, but they so mean with it. Why you so mean with it? Everything ain't deliverance from sun up to sundown. Good God Almighty, you deliverance until you almost lose your mind. You fighting demons all day long, every day, all day. I'm like, good God Almighty, do you ever have the kindness, the fruit of the Spirit, joy, love, kindness? You always in warfare. You know why? You would know why you always in warfare fighting demons? Because you don't operate in love. There's no way God is going to give you all that discernment. So all you see all day, I just see demons. That's a devil. Everything is a devil but you. No, you are working with some things, and I call it unforgiveness. You're not ready. You got to have a lot of love when you have deep discernment. This for all you prophetess and prophet this and prophet that. And you must have the love, because remember, you haven't died for nobody. So just because God show you a little thing about me, some of you be looking like, look at her eyebrows, look at that ring. See, all that means something to you. All this ring means is my friend thought enough of me, and she commit gave me this ring. That's what it means. It don't mean none of that other stuff that you all are talking about. And I just appreciate her. And it's just, I had to get used to it. It's just a fun thing. But some of you make something about everything is about the devil. You know why? Because you're unresolved. Because God would not have you to die for anybody. You got to die to yourself. So make sure that you work on yourself. Forgive. Oh, here it must be a cookie break or something. Folks got cookies and drinks and coming out and one little piece for themselves. I ain't gonna tell y'all who it is. They got one little cookie for themselves, crumbs and everything. We don't do that on Sunday. You better not drop a feather up in here on Sunday. You better not hear a crumb. You better not come up the stairs. You better not holler nothing. But on Tuesday night, we can crumble, and this subject is important. You know, we always try to bring a little humor in here because I know some of you have flashbacks and y'all going back in time and then y'all hurt. Oh, well, thank you. Well, you know, I'm not really drinking sugar right now. Is this sugar? This is cranberry juice for you. But y'all say she over there wine bibbling. Well, thank you. What else you got over there? Well, I guess I can't eat no nuts and cookies and all that. What you got, a bag of crackers? Ooh wee. So where are you up? Are you up to speed where we at now?
Yes, let go of resentment.
Wait a minute now. We ain't gonna do a bunch of smacking up on my show. Now I hear. Oh, they can't hear you. Oh, let go of resentment. You may never, ever, ever want to forgive people. And sometimes I'm telling you, it is hard. We make like, oh, it's so hard. Just forgive. And then I'm gonna keep on forgiving you. I'm gonna forgive you 7 times 77. Is it say? I'm gonna forgive you. We want to forgive so we can be in right standing with God. But we should want to forgive because it's peaceful. It's right to do because it let people off the hook. That does not mean they have not committed a crime. It does not mean that they should not pay for their crime, but for you don't, we can't get into all that. You go to court, the judge let them free. You got to move on. You got to move on. Don't spend your whole life dealing with all of your past hurts and pains. Process them. Find you a happy place. Honey, go to Hilton Head. It's beautiful there. Go to the Biltmore. Go up into the mountains and sit in front of go to the ocean side. Find you a happy place where you can release some of that pain. You know, we're doing all kind of rituals, honey. Write you a letter, put it in a bottle, and throw it in the ocean, and tell them, say it's over. Get you something, strike 2 sticks together like the Boy Scouts did, and set yourself on fire. Anything else, y'all? Not set yourself on fire. You know what I'm saying? Set your 2 sticks on fire, and after you write your letter, burn it. You know, they have burning ceremonies. You burn, what is that after you're born? You have mortgage burning ceremonies. Burn up all that unforgiveness. Burn up all the pain of your life and walk through it. But I'm saying, don't just go throw it together. Process it. Deal with it. And no. So I want all of us to do what we need to do in order so we can have some happiness in this present life. Okay. Where we at now, honey? Oh, that's the last one today. I thought we was going to talk about resentment.
Yes, number 6.
Oh, that's what I was just talking about? Well, I don't know. These bags start rattling and I got a little bit overtaken. Let go of resentment. You may never, never, ever feel like it's the right to do, to forgive. You may never tell your truth. Being offended gives you control. Don't have on the spirit of offense no matter what. Even when people are saying things, sometimes some of the things that I say on Why Should I Be Ashamed in these segments, it may feel like an offense to you. It may feel like, that was my secret. I didn't say your name. It's not your secret. There's 10,000 billions of people went through the same thing, but you make it about you. Take off the spirit of offense. Do not be offended by the truth. There's a scripture in Psalms talk about you can't walk in offense, because you're gonna, if you walk in offense, you're gonna do the wrong thing and you're gonna miss the mark. You're gonna miss your friend. So tonight, I'm not offended. I'm free. I chose peace over unforgiveness. I choose love over unforgiveness. I choose joy over unforgiveness. And it's important to be kind instead of just thinking that you have to be right all the time, that you have to manage everyone else. You know, you got to get to the point, and I talk about being confluence. You have to have balance, though. You got to get to the point where allowing everyone to process their pain and their hurt. Now, you can't process it through me, for me to be your punching bag and for you to drop little hints and words. You can't process your hurt. You're going to have to do your work on yourself, in your relationship, in your fellowship with God, and your therapy, and your time of peace, and reading this great book, Why Should I Be Ashamed, and looking at the prayers in the back. Have you all seen the prayers in the back? Let me get one of these prayers out real quickly here before we close. A prayer for those who suffer in silence, on page 140. It says, Father, I have kept this undisclosed secret all my life. I am scared and too ashamed to tell anyone. I know I have a responsibility to reveal the person who abused me, so they will not get away with this or bring hurt to another child. Lord, reveal the sins of my abuser and expose their wrongdoings. Please grant me peace of mind. Please cancel all my mental torment that has attached itself to me related to this undisclosed incident. Lord, heal me and help me to recover while I journey through life in spite of this unpleasant incident. Lord, show me the path to freedom. I have forgiven the person or person for the assaults against me. Help me to move on in this present world with complete healing and freedom from condemnation. You got to get a copy. You got to get a copy. So thank you all for watching again. We'll see you next Tuesday. Why don't you all tune in on Sunday morning at the Light Church? Pastor Calvert will be up here, and I will be rattling cookies and drinks. So thank you so much. See you. Get your healing and forgive. There's such a freedom in forgiving. Thank you. Have a great evening.
Give God the glory. Yeah, that's what I do.